tomato plants in my dad's garden.
My tomato plants are going like this though. They're growing outwards and not up. Like it's insane, and I don't want to tie them back up because I don't want to break them.
But are they growing? The tomatoes themselves growing?
Oh yeah, like crazy.
So that's all that matters.
All right, I think we're on.
Yeah, we've been live since you referenced the tomato, so it's all good. I kind of like this way to start the show.
I know that was a good way to start talking about tomato plants. That's a good form of, meditation or whatever, right?
Yeah, gardening, hell yeah, being one with the earth.
One with
nurturing.
Yeah, that's actually where humility. That's actually where humility comes from. It comes from the word humus, that means like of the earth.
Yes, sir.
One with nature. Yeah. So.
Yes.
All right. So I'm gonna share it.
So you're on point, Jess.
I guess we are. The gardening is a great way to talk about our Sundays at 7.
Woo! We're live.
We have here a very special guest. Like all our guests are very special, right? Mr. Felix.
Felix, what's up?
And we are going to talk about his story and all the stuff he's done, giving back and street outreach and helping other people, and comment and join us and talk to us, and I'll be rude and interrupt him, and you know how we do on Sundays at 7. Let's see. So we already have Olga Anna Castillo said, hi, everyone. Mandy McGowan said, love you. And she's at the shelter right now, the Lowell shelter, and she's watching. The ladies are watching with her. So we'll give them some hope.
That's awesome. Hey, Mandy, already killing the case management game. What's up, girl?
Amazing. Teresa Legerio, Mr. Michael's mom. Happy birthday.
Hi, Mom.
Birthday.
Happy birthday. Yeah. So July 21st was her birthday. Happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday.
And then
she's on her way up.
What did you say, Mike?
She's on her way up to Mass next week.
Oh, that's so exciting.
Yeah.
It's probably hot down in Florida right now.
Oh, yeah.
And Greg Davenport said, hi, everyone. Miss you all. Hope everyone is having an awesome weekend. What's up,
Great Greg?
Weekend.
So I'll read the mission statement, and then we can kind of go into, Felix. And it's so funny because I was saying to Felix before that I know him from somewhere, and I can't remember where, because he's that powerful of an example. Because I remember you, and I remember your voice, and it must have been 10 years ago when I was trying to get clean or something.
Definitely a very distinct voice, for sure.
Yeah. As soon as I saw his picture, I'm like, I know him from somewhere. I know I do. So Greater Wildthian Recovery Solution mission is to raise funds and awareness to help connect people into treatment, access to recovery coaches in the community, support for veterans, which me and Felix were just talking about before too, and scholarship people into sober living.
Ooh, nailed it. As always, nailed it. Mic drop.
Mic dropped.
That's the mission. That's the goal.
Yeah.
So Felix, what's going on, brother? It's been a little while since we've got to talk one-on-one, but I've gotten to know you pretty well over the last decade or so. You got 10 years in recovery, 10 years, 10 months. I forget how many days. I don't want to do you a disservice, but
3.
Man, in 3 days, man, it's been a minute since we first linked up and connected, and you've always been a power of example to me and to many others. I know a lot of men that you've guided through the steps, and you and I attempted to start a home group a couple years ago, and which was awesome, which was really rewarding to be able to do. So we'll talk about that later on, but give us a little bit of background. What's up with Felix? Well, who's Felix? Where does he come from? How did he get into addiction? How did he get into recovery?
So, always a pleasure to talk to you, man, and see you. Your family, just want you to know that. I basically, came up from Puerto Rico when I was about 3, came into the streets of New York, lived there for a while, moved from Brooklyn to Springfield and Holyoke. And, as I grew up, started seeing a lot of things, that I was attracted to. Um, and you know, started playing hooky, and you know, my dad as well was doing some stuff that, you know, I was attracted to, that you know, um were kind of illegal, you know what I mean? So I my attention got called to a lifestyle. And you know, I'd like to say I'm a product of my environment, but it goes a little beyond that. Like, you know, addiction runs in my family. And you know, my dad has substance abuse issues. My mom never did, but his father did. So it's kind of in the bloodline. Um, I out of all my siblings, I was the one that actually took off and running and progressed in the disease of addiction. And you know, because because of the lifestyle that I chose, I got put out of the public school system in like seventh grade, you know, so like I didn't get an education. Um, I was in the streets from seventh grade on, left home at the age of 13. Um, my mom had some mental health problems, you know, and I left home because there was some abuse going on. So I've been on my own since I was 13. And you know, I ran with some people. They're not worth mentioning, right? To give any sort of group accolades, you know what I'm saying? But you know, found out early on, man, that um like really everything that glitters ain't gold, right? And not everybody who says they got your back has your back.
Right.
You
That's
know,
right. That's so true. Jess, don't you like that? Everything glitters ain't gold line. That's
I
a one
love
liner.
it. I love it. Everything that glitters ain't gold. I love it.
We need a one liner, Bell.
Yeah. Every time someone does a good one liner, which is never me, but sometimes.
Sometimes.
So like I wait for the one liner.
Felix is
but
cooking up.
Yeah.
so
Everything that glitters ain't gold.
so right, you know, I got shot at the young age of 17.
Wow.
By that point, I was hooked on heroin, and didn't know it because I was selling it. You know, I had it all the time. And you know, I got shot. Somebody tried to rob me, and long story short, I ended up in the hospital for like 5 months. And you know, they discovered that, you know, I had a habit. So they kind of put me on a drug replacement medication, right, at the young age of 17, right when I left the hospital. You know,
What
17-year-old.
what form of drug replacement therapy was that back then? Was that methadone?
Methadone, yeah, yeah. So they put me on methadone, and they did back then. They used to do a 21-day detox in the street, right? And
Oh.
so, yeah, yeah. So you know, I was I left the hospital. I gotta honestly say that as soon as I left the hospital, I used. As soon as I got to my house, I used. Um, you know, you know, I had a colostomy. That means I was crapping through the side of my stomach, and you know, dereliction, man. That's animalistic, you know, living, man. And you would think that all those occurrences would have diverted me from wanting to live, you know, in that lifestyle, and it didn't. You know, little did I know that I had the disease of addiction. You know, it wasn't until further on that you know, I found the rooms, you know, of Narcotics Anonymous. Um, I I can honestly say that I didn't know nothing about relationships. Like you know, all my relationships ended up with restraining orders. You know, like I didn't know that a lifetime restraining order existed until I got one. You know what I'm saying? Um, you know, it blew my mind. What do you mean, like forever, ever? Yeah, forever,
Right,
ever.
right.
You
It's
know what I'm
funny because
saying?
we laugh at these things, but the general public, like, these people are crazy.
I
But it's like,
know.
hey, we get it. You know, I get it.
Who
Yeah,
laughs at a
man.
lifetime restraining order? Only us, because we're like,
Yeah,
okay.
and through the recovery process, I was able to sort through those things out. When I finally surrendered and came into the recovery process, I was able to maneuver through, all that unmanageability in my life and address all those issues like child support, the restraining order, the Corey, education, you know what I mean? I've been able to get my GED. I've been able to get my associate's degree. I've been able to get my LADAC license. I've been able to do a lot
That's
of
amazing.
things that, like, without recovery, I wouldn't have been able to do. Without taking and embarking on this journey that I have, who knows where I'd be. You know.
Well, that's real recovery right there, is cleaning up the baggage. Some people will neglect the baggage and just be content with being abstinent or whatever pathway they choose. But, real recovery is doing the things you talked about, like really growing, evolving, doing the things you couldn't get accomplished in the past, like getting the GED, like knowing, like setting goals for yourself, pushing forward. Like that's what, you're really taking care of the mind and the body, and the spirit, doing things like that.
And that's such a good point, Mike, too, because my son is screaming. I apologize if you can hear him in the background playing his superhero game. But like when we get clean and sober and we've done so much wreckage, right? And it can sometimes be so overwhelming to look back and try to figure out what to fix it. And sometimes it's easier to just say, screw it. I'm not even going to try to fix. Like, that's too much. Like, these warrants are too much. Getting my license back is too much. It's like, but when you actually get through that, that shows, like you just said, that real recovery, and that it's possible. And it's all from other people doing it first, right? Like you did fixing your Corey and dealing with legal issues and dealing with health issues, dealing with dental issues. It's all stuff that's so hard, but we see other people doing it first, and it kind of gives us the path.
I think the most important thing for me about my recovery is relationships, right? Like I remember before I went to the Boston area, me reaching out to God, as I understand Him, and saying, I just want to stop. I just want to stop. And mind you, at that point, I was on a 95 of methadone, 95 milligrams of methadone, and I was afforded an opportunity to come to Dorchester to a Spanish. It was a Spanish, I don't know what you want to call it, sober house, halfway house, whatever. It was a Christian-based place, and like they didn't believe on detox, so like I went there because like I wanted to stop so bad. I went there and I was there. I kicked there, man, like cold turkey. No, it was like I can honestly say that when I used to lay up on the bed, I used to feel a black energy hovering over me, trying to take me out. That's real.
Yeah,
that's real. Yeah, I could feel it right now. I can feel that energy you're talking about.
My skin's crawling.
And especially like you had to be in community living, so there's men everywhere, right? And like that's uncomfortable going through withdrawal. Like I know it was uncomfortable for me just trying to do it on my own on my couch, but at least in isolation, you're like you can turn the TV on, you can like do whatever you do to cope in the moment, but then you got men running around the house, like they're doing their thing. Some of them are they got their wits back about them. So I can't even imagine how difficult that must have been.
Yeah, it was difficult, and that's I think that's where my true bond with God really spinned off. Like that was like it was like, yo, show yourself to me, man. Like yes, I'm in a Christian program, but I'm here because I believe in you and I need your help, and that's what happened. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't about being part of any specific group or anything like that. It was like a genuine, like the literature talks about, that genuine surrender, man.
Yeah.
That took place.
That moment of desperation.
Yeah, yeah.
That's really powerful. That here you are at this, like Mike said, this, and you're just like, I please, I need help, right? Give it like waiting for something else to come take this craziness away from you.
Yeah. And I know we're not in a group, but there's a quotation in one of our books in the literature that talks about, like, there's no power on earth that can remove an obsession to want to use.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can identify with that.
Yeah.
Right.
No
human power, right? No human power.
Yep.
That's why you have to seek on a higher power, supreme being, because no human power on this earth can, like you said, can lift that obsession. Once the obsession set off, that's it. You got to seek, like, a little bit higher counsel than a human being.
What's up?
Right? Where you at? What was the first sign? Like, what was the first, like, when you were able to, like, feel God was, like, there was tangible evidence that God was working in your life? Like, what was that like? What was that feeling to you?
I think that in so I was on a top bunk, and it was August, right?
Oh.
It was hot as hell, right? And like I'm telling you that I felt that energy hovering over me, and like I could feel it tugging and tugging, and I just laid there and I kept saying, no, God, no. And I made it through the night, and so I felt protected. Like I felt protected, like I physically felt protected, like shielded. I don't know how else to explain it.
No, I get it. Absolutely. So, like, with all, like, the pain, uncomfortability you were going through, you just knew everything was going to be okay. You had something that was looking out for you. I've experienced the same thing. That's why I ask, because I like to get other people's opinions. Sometimes, you think you're crazy when you feel these things, or when you say these things, and then it's like, wow, someone else has experienced that too. So it's like, I'm not alone.
It's a beautiful thing too. So just want to say hi to Peter Burke. He said hello, everyone. Peter Burke from the Farnham Center.
What's up, Pete?
What's up?
And then Debbie, our Vice President Debbie Moore. So, co-founder. What are we doing? President, founder, co-founder.
Vice president. I think. I mean, unless I missed something at the meeting, I missed the first half. So
yeah. So Debbie's Julie Bunch is our founder. Debbie Moore is our co-founder. Then we have Kim G, who does our social media. Mandy McGowan, who rock star. Linda Powell, a nurse in our program, who works with us for the nonprofit, and Richie Evans. I'm not missing anyone, right, Mike?
That's it, Richie the Wolf. We always get him last because he's so impactful. Richie the Wolf.
Yeah. So, Debbie
Felix knows the Wolf.
Yes.
You know the wolf in the flesh?
Oh yeah.
Oh boy, I saw a coyote outside my house yesterday, but I guess it's a different animal. But yeah, so were you coming off it from 95 milligrams to nothing when this happened?
Yes.
Okay.
Cold turkey. Yeah.
And they wouldn't allow methadone at the house you were at?
No, well, I was getting dosed in the clinic in I think Northampton, Mass. And my sister, my sister was a born again Christian, and I had another restraining order. I didn't have a place to stay, and I just went to church with her. She had just found out I was IV using, so I felt like I was indebted to, like, try to make her feel good. She just found out I'm IV using. Let me go to church. She feels all right. But my experience started there when I went with her there, and my communication really started there at the church she was going to, and that's where, when I made the decision to go ahead and go to this program, because, like, there was this preacher that came from Puerto Rico, and they had a chorus, and the guy was preaching, and one of the ladies came over to me, and I had my head down and I was crying, and you know how the disease of addiction is like one of the symptoms is arrogance.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
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 So she came over to me, and she puts her hand on. I don't know this woman. She's like, God has been there with you, and I'm like, yeah, I know. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
but then she said something that I know she didn't know. She said, God's gonna take care of your children. He just wants you to seek him early in the morning. And then she got my attention, because I'm like, how does this lady know I got children?
Yeah.
And
Right.
how does this
Right.
lady know that that's what's on my heart right now?
Right.
That I want to leave, but I don't want to leave because my kid's mother's actively using. How does she know
Right.
that?
That's
You know what I'm
that's
saying?
that's
So
just
you.
my friend Ryan, who's I don't think has ever watched us, he told me to say something great about him. I got him to watch tonight. He was trying to find a meeting, and I said, "Why don't you watch our little show at Facebook? Sundays at 7." Ryan, you're doing amazing. Newly in sobriety, really trying. Goes to noon meeting every day. So just want to give a big shout out to Ryan.
Shout out, man.
Good
Shout
job,
out.
Ryan.
Good
And
job.
another positive about you, Ryan, is you're friends with Jessica.
Woo! There we go.
That was a good spin, right?
That was a
So you felt comforted once that woman, she presented that when you were in a time like your kids are on your mind. You're like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if I'm going to be able to provide or even live long enough to be there for them. She brought up your kids, so like that's instantly a moment of comfort. And what do we seek when we're addicts? Ease and comfort, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's the number one thing. We're always on fear. We're always in fear. We're always on the edge. We're always restless, irritable, discontent. We lack ease and comfort.
I gotta be real honest, man, that even though my active addiction, man, I did worry a lot about my family, my kids per se. And although I wasn't the best father, I did my best to show up, to provide, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. So they were always in my heart. My disease was predominantly the one running the show, but so I felt like the culmination of me, that moment of desperation, another restraining order. Where am I going to go now? The worry of my kids, and just like that spiritual bankrupt that we talk about, that I was there, spiritually bankrupt, mentally, physically, emotionally, you know?
Absolutely. So, like you talked about, I mean, as long as I've known you, you worked in some form of fashion in like the treatment world, whether it's, treatment, outreach. You've been there helping addicts. Tell us how you got involved. Like, what was the first time you got involved and said, like, I want to work with people in addiction and the mental health field?
What's funny? I moved from Dorchester to Waltham, stayed at my brother's house, and I hadn't yet gone to any meetings, right? I didn't know of any meetings. I knew there was meetings um in the other fellowship, AA. So I was going to those, checking those out, and I met this guy who ran anger management groups and substance abuse groups, 24 weeks substance abuse groups. And outside the meetings, I had asked him if I can do both those courses.
Like as a student, or
I was like, yo, I got some issues, man. Like I got some issues, man.
I need a little bit more than these AA meetings.
Yeah, man. And so
I need
like
something specific to anger and not beating people up anymore.
he allowed me to join. He allowed me to go. And so like I was the only person there voluntarily, right? And some of the guys would like make fun of me, like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, yo, I need to be here, man. I need to be here, man. I've been through some things, and I know some things about myself that I need to change. So that was like the acknowledgement. And then, so he worked for this company called Middlesex Human Services. And I used to do landscaping for him on the side. And he said, Felix, there's a position in, I think it was Hestia House or something like that in Waltham, to work with driving children and homeless children and women to and from appointments and to school and stuff like that. And I said to him, dude, you don't know what's on my record. I said to him,
I'll never get hired, right?
yeah, I counted myself out,
Yeah,
counted
of
myself out.
course.
And, he's like,
Right.
and he said,
Wreckage from the past.
Felix, just apply. And I said, okay, and practice some open-mindedness, even though I didn't know that's what that was back then,
Taking
right? Because I knew
suggestions.
nothing about spiritual principles.
Right.
And a little faith too, right?
Yeah, some faith. And I was like, fuck it. Dude, I started working there. I ended up meeting Julie's mom,
Wow.
Margot. And Margot didn't say that she was in recovery, didn't say she wasn't. But I just gravitated towards her. The spirit just, you know what I mean? And so I ended up moving in with her and renting a room from her. And then all of a sudden this opportunity arose to work at Dimmick Community Health Center as a Latino counselor case manager. And the same thing, this person told me they need somebody, go apply. And I'm like, yo, I don't even have a GED. What are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? And they were like, just go. I went and I started working in there, man. Those were my two first human service jobs. I worked at Dimmick for, I don't know, a good 7 years. I've jumped around. I've done a few different things. I've worked for Julie's husband and his business as a mentor for kids in the city. I helped form this program in Salem called Journeys of Hope. I started as direct care and I ended up like being in charge of running the place and hiring people, and developed a street outreach model for teens. Worked with DCF. I also worked for the adult shelter in Beverly and Salem.
Where were you living at the time with those jobs in the North Shore? Were you
I
commuting from Boston or?
No, I was living in Woburn or Winchester, one of those.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was
That's
living up
such
that
a
way.
cool story though about how you met with Julie. Like that's such a higher power thing, that
Yeah.
you are this job that you think that I'm not applying for that. Look at my record. You apply.
Yeah.
meet Julie's mom. You end
Yeah.
up being able to stay with her, meet Julie. And
Yeah.
that's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Listen, we became instant family.
Yeah.
But I did the street outreach for the shelter for the Journeys of Hope. I also did it for the missions, the homeless shelter in Salem. I did some work for a couple of schools. I did independent work.
Julie just said you did the Recovery High School.
I did work.
Hi, Michelle. Nice to see you on here. Yeah, so Julie just commented that you did the Recovery High School.
Recovery High School, yep. And the charter school in Salem. I helped them. I contracted with them. And I've worked for Lowell House for a short time. I worked for RCA for a short time. I worked for Luck. I was the coordinator of street outreach here in Luck. I was training youth how to do street outreach safely. and with ethics and boundaries and stuff like that. Let me see. Right now, I'm part of a coalition of I think it's 10 or 11 churches that had been feeding the homeless for the past 3 years, and here in Fitchburg. And I jumped aboard in the beginning of COVID and proposed to do street outreach in this community. And so I've been doing that since COVID started. Not only do I bring out meals, but I bring out socks, underwears, hygiene kits, um, you know, bleach kits. I bring out Narcan, and I build rapport with the guys and the girls in the community, and I've been afforded the opportunity to get like 15 people out of the street and into treatment since
Wow.
COVID started, which I feel very, very fortunate and blessed to be able to serve in that capacity.
That's
That's
amazing.
amazing.
Have you noticed more overdoses since COVID? Like, what has there been a
Yes.
change in the outreach world since COVID?
Drastic, yes. Drastic,
Really?
drastic overdoses, yes.
So you've been seeing more and more since all this.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, it hasn't been a walk in the park to help these individuals. I've encountered a lot of times when I call, they don't have the right insurance,
Right.
or like the veterans have a hard time getting them placed.
And that's a big thing that we want to help, right? Is
Yeah.
our mission is to give back to these veterans, and not just because that VA, what is it, TRICARE insurance they have?
Yes.
It's like I was saying to you before, I saw my friend go to the VA, did 3 days, and then there was nothing they could do. We can't help you any further. The spin dry, and he's now dead, and so we are gonna be looking for donations. We're gonna put the Venmo information, the cash app, I think it's called, up. So if anyone, we know this is hard times, but we want to just get some funds together for vets and scholarshiping people into sober living.
So are you guys familiar with the no wrong door policy?
No.
Tell us about it.
Mike, are you familiar? He normally knows everything.
No, I don't know everything. If I know everything, I'm screwed.
The no wrong door policy was something that was established in 2017 that states something like no one can be turned away for treatment if they show up at a facility, at a hospital. And I have that on my phone, yo. I've had to bust that out and sit with people and read it to them to say, no, yo, we ain't leaving. Like you got to help this person.
Really?
And yeah, man, and it's unfortunate because they're like, well, what's that? They've never heard of it, and these are people that work in the field. You know what I mean? Like people in the trade. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
those are the up front that should know. Hey, no wrong door policy. We have to find a place for this person to go.
Okay.
It's our responsibility. Not to turn them back out into the street.
So could they do something like, oh, we detox them for 3 days and now they're all like, what is that policy like?
That means they can refer out. They can refer out if they have to use their resources and refer out. So if a client calls and says, I need treatment, like you can't tell them, oh, you don't apply, you're not eligible for treatment here. You have to help them find a program that meets their criteria, meets their insurance criteria.
That's right.
You have to find them a place that they're eligible to go to.
That's right. Yeah. So, there's a few little tricks I got, what I mean, I've had to pull out, yo, you're gonna laugh. I've had to pull out my license for substance abuse counseling as a badge in a few ERs. No lie. Like, I'm a licensed substance abuse counselor. I will report you to DPH if you don't take this individual.
And you'd be with the individual, and like they would just reject any type of help for them, or just deny any type of help.
Yep.
And
That's
you know what? And if it's still happening, like, you know, I give credit to ERs because they've gone leaps and bounds to where they were, you know, maybe 10, 15 years ago, but that's still happening, which is mind blowing.
Right.
Well, that hasn't happened during the COVID, but it has happened. It has happened where, you know, I'm trying to help somebody and, you know, they're reluctant, they're under the influence and whatever. And they're like, you know, no, you know, they just don't want to take them. They don't want to deal with, like, you know, what comes with an addict who's, you know, under the, you know, and under the influence and the attitude that might come with it.
And all that stigma, you know, all the stigma of it, that this person, they're going to, oh, here comes another drunk. Here comes another addict. They're going to hold up a bed. And I worked in the ER, maybe, I can't believe it, but like 15 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, I don't know if I'm that old yet, but like, it was the same thing. Like anytime, and this was like before my using really took off, and it would be the same, oh, we're going to hold up a bed for this one. They're drunk. And you would have the usuals. And there was such a stigma there back then. I think this was in 2006, 2007, 2008. And I really hope that it's changed at least a little bit, you know, because now we're talking about this, that this isn't a moral issue. This is a disease that we have, you know, that we have to, we're humans. We didn't choose this, and to be treated with dignity and respect and help, you know, be given the help that we deserve as human people, as our basic human need. I just hope it's changed a little bit.
It's changed. I can see it's changed. You know, from my perspective, it's changed a lot, but it's got to come a lot. You know, like, yo, I be handing out Narcan, right? Like, AIDS projects from Worcester hits me off with Narcan, so they provide me with I'm the count person here for the Narcan, and you know, sometimes I give those out to, like, store owners and stuff.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I ask, hey, you know, have you seen this and that? Oh yeah, you know, last week, whatever. I'm like, hey, would you, you know, and I teach them, you know, this is what you got to do, boom, boom, boom. So, you know, my role is educating as well. You know what I mean?
That's huge. Gas station owners, you know, fast food restaurant owners, you know, that was my stomping grounds. Taco Bell bathroom, Wendy's bathroom, you know,
Dunkin' Donuts bathroom.
Dunkin' Donuts bathroom. Yeah, they should all be equipped.
Yeah.
And how do like, when you ask someone, when you go to the businesses and say, you know, here, how do they react? Is it positive, or is it like, no, I don't need that? Or what's the kind of reaction you get most of the time?
I don't know. I'm a pretty charming individual, so they you know.
If you haven't been able to tell.
Right.
They all right, you know, they're open, you know, and I just enter with, you know, my presentation is real, like, you know, have you seen this? You know what I mean?
Right.
And you know what to do, you know, it's not like, hey, you need this, you know what I mean? So it's, you know, and they see me in the community, man. They see me out there. Like, you know, a lot of people are glad to see me out there, man. A lot of people. Yo, you know what I mean?
And what communities are you doing this in right now?
I'm just doing it right now in Fitchburg.
Okay.
I go all around Fitchburg on Wednesdays and Sundays. Wednesday at 5. I go out, I feed people at the Y, and then whatever's left, I bring it out in the community. And then Sunday mornings at 9, I bring out breakfast and, you know, whatever else I bring out, you know.
So you really give back, you know, that's
amazing.
Yeah.
You know, you'd be surprised, man. Like, let me tell you a couple stories. You know, I had one meal left, and I was in a spot. It's known to be a spot, right? And you know, I made sure that the people that I do this for told the police that I'm out there doing this and why, because
Yeah.
I don't want to get caught up in a sweep. You know what I mean?
Right.
That would be real dumb. So I'm in the spot, and I see this lady. She's at the bus stop. Her back is towards me, and like I you know, I hoot and holler, and she turns around, and I gesture like this with my hand. Are you hungry?
Yeah.
And she gets up, and she comes towards me, and she goes, I don't have any money. And I said, this is free. I'm trying to feed you. And she starts crying. And she's like, I'm a nurse. She goes, I'm a nurse. I came from Florida to start a new life out here. I'm a registered nurse. And I got caught up. I forgot how many years she said she had.
Wow.
And yeah. So she's like I want to stop and I can't. And I said, you know, when do you want to stop? Like, are you ready to go right now? Because that's what I do. I'm like, you want to go? Let's go right now.
Yeah.
Let's go. Strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah. And she was like, I'll can we go tomorrow? And I said, yup. I said, you got a phone number? And she didn't have a phone number. And so she said, I'll be here at 9 tomorrow. And you know, I prayed for her. Like, I do that. I pray in the street. I lay hands on people. What? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So she started crying and she said, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. And I said to her, well, if you weren't worthy, what am I doing here?
Wow.
Right.
Like, there's a God sending me to you because you are worthy. And she cried even more. And she said, please be here tomorrow. So I showed up the next day and she was there. And
Wow.
I you know, she called me about, you know, a couple of weeks ago and she's like, Felix, I'm in treatment, long-term treatment. Thank you so much. I didn't even know who she was, you know?
What's incredible, what's kind of like really sticks out to me is that here was someone that was a nurse, right? So that shows right there the stigma that these are, that we aren't just these like low down junkies, homeless people right from the start, right? All these people that we see out there that we try, they came from something and there's somebody. And if a registered nurse who, you know, we hold, it's a healthcare worker, a great job, can fall down this trap, that shows that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much money you have, what you came from, anything. This can, once the disease of addiction has you in its grip, it's pulling you down. And it doesn't matter. It can, all the degrees and this and that. And I think that's an incredible story. And that she's now in treatment because you said to her, are you hungry? You know, and now
that's it.
Something simple like that. Imagine.
She could be dead
where it started.
You know, and instead she's in treatment because whatever it is, it's God, people want to call it a higher power, what a spirit, there's a spiritual principle that connected you to, and look at where she is now. You know, that's a very, very powerful story. Oh, so Olga said, thank you, Felix, for all you do. And so, Mike, how did you meet Felix?
How did I meet Felix? Who asked that?
Greater Waltham Recovery Solution.
Oh. I didn't know if someone like knew personally. So I met Felix through the same 12-step fellowship back in the day when I first started out. And like you said, he's memorable, the voice, the message, very impactful, like someone who I was like, man, this guy, what a message. Just, you know, all of his human service work, you know, mixed with like his passion for the fellowship. So then a little bit further down the line, if we fast forward, and I don't know if you're okay with me sharing this, but I'm going to share it anyways. Felix ended up being my sponsee brother.
Yeah.
So we ended up getting to do like step work together and stuff like that. So I got to really know Felix and like really know his spirit and the type of man he was, like, because we were, being intimate as far as like step work and stuff like that. And then, Felix, tell us about, we'll get into it after. Tell us about what your job was at Somerville, because that was a cool gig. That's when we really got connected and we started a little home group for the high school kids.
That's awesome.
So in Somerville, I got hired as a contracted substance abuse counselor for the Somerville High School. And not trying to put
That was the first substance abuse counselor in a high school that they had, right, in Massachusetts?
Yes, in that high school, yes. Unfortunately, I'm gonna say it like it is, they weren't ready for it.
Right.
They weren't ready for it, yeah.
No, they weren't ready for it. They weren't. It was like this idea, but they didn't have it like planned out. I was helping them hash out, details as far as release of information. I'm like, yo, I'm a licensed substance abuse counselor. There's confidentiality stuff they tell me I can't tell you. You know what I mean? So they didn't have all those things in place, and it was making my job harder. So I kind of backed, even though it was a great opportunity to build something like that, without the proper support is really stressful. So, but I left there with the sense of I connected with a few of the kids. I taught a few of the kids about Narcotics Anonymous. They helped me start a group, which I asked Mike to help me be a part of, and it was a good exposure for the kids in Somerville community.
I think that's awesome. That's, but like you said, maybe it wasn't the right timing, and it just to give back to kids. And that's something that's so important, that we make sure they're aware of what's going on, that it's not the DARE program anymore, right? Don't do drugs. Keep kids. What is it? DARE. Do you know what DARE stands for, Mike? DARE.
Resist.
DARE to keep kids off drugs.
I never bought into
yeah.
it, so I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
But this was like supposed to be a well done DARE, like where someone's actually giving them services. You know what I mean? And like I saw how passionate Felix was about it,
right.
and like that's what attracted me. And I was like, absolutely, because he was about it, man. Like really about it, like doing this stuff after hours just to like supply extra resources for the kids and stuff like that. He really wanted the kids to run the group. Like he wanted like the kids to have service positions and learn how like Narcotics Anonymous functions and works as a whole. And like it was kind of beautiful. It was beautiful for him to ask me to be a part of it. I was like completely shocked and honored. But like, and then seeing like his vision, I mean, it didn't pan out the way we envisioned it, but the doors were open, and that was the most important part.
So thank you, Olga. She said drug abuse resistance education. So that's what.
There you go.
There you go.
I must have met you, Felix, when I was going to NA more back in Quincy and Dorchester. That must have been it, and that was about 10 years ago. That would have been in 2010 to 2011.
Yeah, I do meetings. Mike knows there's no limit to where I go to do a meeting.
It's driving me crazy though that I can't picture where. Am I Quincy Courthouse maybe?
Yes, I've done meetings at the courthouse.
Okay. Maybe
yes.
I haven't been clean for 10 years, but that was a long time ago.
And years. So can I talk about the little bit of the growth that I've seen in this area? And I'm not saying this because of me, but I've seen, like when I first moved to this area, it was hard for me to live here because like I scouted this area before. When I say this area, Fitchburg, Central Mass, before we moved here,
Yep.
And I was just looking to see what the atmosphere was, and the atmosphere scared me because it wasn't what I was used to.
Okay.
The recovery atmosphere.
Yes, sir. Yes, you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
And so I'm used to hearing problem solution,
Yeah.
spiritual principles, practicality of, you know what I mean? So I wasn't like, I felt like a newcomer all over again out here. And, my sponsor at the time, I told him how I was feeling, which was, it was Rob. And he said something to me, if you don't feel it, bring it, right?
Ooh.
Whoa, one-liner.
If you don't feel it, bring it. I love that.
That must be where he gets his one-liners from his sponsor.
You know that.
And it was Rob really who ignited the that philosophy of bring it, right? And so since then I've been able to help found one, two, three, four NA meetings in this area.
Wow. Thank you.
And and each one teach one, right? So whatever was taught to me, that's what I'm teaching to to the people that are serving, the service structure, the traditions, the concept, everything that's important to the service structure, man. So we don't like do whatever, wing it, and waive people's clean time, and you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So it's been a blessing to be able to be a part of that as well. Like this men's meeting that we started is coming up on a year in August. It's the first, to my knowledge, first NA meeting for men here in Fitchburg.
That's amazing.
I could facilitate a Zoom meeting over the past few months, like try to host a Zoom meeting. So I think that's like the fact that you've started not one meeting but 4 is like outstanding. That there's something to be said for that.
And that's been throughout, the time that I've lived here. You know what I mean? In the 4 years, 5 years that I've lived here, that I've been able to, align with some people that were willing to participate and be a part of this stuff and the service structure. So I'm just really fortunate to my predecessors that,
But that service warrior that's in you, like I wouldn't have doubted you would do something like that, and I wouldn't have doubted that, like, if you went there and you felt like the climate wasn't the right climate, you weren't going to change it, because like I know you. But like that's what makes you such an effective outreach person, is the principles that you put forth in your 12-step work, and like you're able to like be that leader, and you're able to be that person who's like going to start all these groups, and like and you know what I mean, make it work, make it come to fruition, and that you place those principles in your outreach work, and that's why you've placed 15 people over the last few months. You know what I mean? It's just, it goes hand in hand.
Yeah. All praises to him.
To him, that's right.
Do we have any other questions or comments, or is Julie texting you?
No, not right now.
So that means we're doing a good job. We're doing a. Just kidding. Stacy Lee Savard said, "Love you, my friends."
Love and respect.
So what else was I gonna say? So you still are doing outreach work. You're still placing people into treatment. Just killing it, right? Starting meetings, and how do you think COVID has really affected our recovery community?
I think it's gotten our recovery community lazy, complacent. I'm gonna say it like it is. I'm taking the gloves off.
You got a point. You just roll over in bed, turn your phone on, and and so as a founding member of the men's group,
I took it upon myself to be a responsible leader, and I said, so check this out, guys. These are our choices, right?
Yeah.
I don't govern the group, but these are our choices. I said we can set something up in Zoom, or we can keep the meetings going. I personally am not going to volunteer to man a Zoom that takes a lot of time and whatever. I'm not doing it. If somebody else wants to learn how to do that, you're more than welcome to.
I tried for like a month or like 3 weeks, and I was over it.
And then I said, or, so because I looked to NA World and what they had to say about COVID,
Yeah.
they kind of left it up to the groups
Yeah.
to make a decision and practice the fourth tradition, right? Autonomy. And so I broke down the fourth tradition to our group members, and I told them what that meant. And I brought them back to, tradition 1. And then I brought them to tradition 3, right? And we made a decision to stay open for the newcomer that might not have a phone, right?
Right.
And we took the precautions of where we had gloves, we had masks, we had, sanitizer throughout the whole, thing. The pastor okayed it. So, that's what we did,
That's amazing. I'd been going to a new meeting that it was the same, like 8 people, but we did have a couple newcomers coming in. We were outside social distancing and just trying to figure it out amongst ourselves. Like, were we wearing masks and 6 feet apart? And I know it got me through it too, because there's something to be said for that in-person interaction, and that we're missing right now because of COVID, not being able to hug people and shake someone's hand and, reach out. There's something there, that human to human connection.
And I mean, if our literature talks about creative action, right? Creative action is what?
Yeah.
Being proactive
Adapting,
on something.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And shoot, we could freaking meet outside in a park, or you know what I mean? That's what a lot of groups are doing here. They're meeting in the parks.
Yeah. That's what we did in the snow. I had a blanket on and it was raining. Like, there would only be 6 of us there, but there was a couple people that were really new in sobriety that needed something because they don't know the Zoom links, they don't know this, and they've gotten sober through this. My friend Ryan, who was on, is someone and we bonded as a group because we would do round robins and we needed it. A lot of people really needed that.
Hey, Mike.
Yo.
I won't forget about being under the Tobin Bridge with puddle water.
Never that, right?
Now
Right?
you explain. Why are you under the bridge?
I mean, I know that we're in recovery now and we have to be careful and, think wiser and stuff like that. But like, I can't forget where I come from, man. Like, right. I can't really forget where I come from and the things that I did to put myself in certain predicaments, right? Willingly, right? But I got to also remember that I got a God that continuously does for me what I cannot do for myself.
Absolutely. I think it's a beautiful thing, your relationship with God. I don't know what I would be without. I have my son's grandmother is someone who's really, pushed that in me, and like God, and she got me a pillow with the serenity prayer on it, and just to be open and to pray, and if you're open up to them, then they'll help you. We just need to ask for their help and their assistance. And for people that, the God thing is really hard for whatever reason, it's just a being greater than yourself. It's a being greater than yourself, and just to open yourself up to it, I guess.
I don't want your listeners to get what I'm saying twisted. I'm not talking about a religious God.
Right.
I'm talking about like someone that like I talk to, and I know is there in the midnight hour when there's no sponsor, right? The 11th hour when there's no sponsor. I'm talking about those times where I'm in a fetal position, right? That like I get what I need, and those times of like solitude where, you know, feel so alone, but I have peace.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking. I'm not talking about religion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I have a one-liner for you. I wonder if you've already heard it before. Mike, do you know
What's
what
that?
Religion is for those who are afraid of going to hell, and spirituality is for those who have been there.
Oh, we've been there.
Have you heard of
Oh,
that?
we've been there.
line before?
That's a
Yeah, I've
great
heard
line.
of it.
Perfect opportunity. That's a great line.
So we have a
You
couple
nailed it again.
and then Mike will give his one-liner goodbye. So let's see. Okay. Debbie said, "Thank you for all you do, Felix. You are amazing."
Salute.
Michelle, someone who we're working with as a recovery coach, she said, "You all rock." So
Salute.
stay strong. We'll get you the resources you need. I'm going to ask Felix if he has any help with some resources that she might be looking for. Juliana Marie, my son's aunt, my son Caden, you're down the Cape. I miss you. I hope you're having so much fun. She said, "You guys are heroes in this fight against addiction. It gives me hope for all the people that need help. Kudos to all of you." And she's actually
Thank you.
Salute.
And Julie saw me at my worst when I lost custody of my son, and just the relationship we have now is just so beautiful, which I'm so grateful for. My mom said hi, checking in. Hi, Mom. You're a little late for the show's over. And, oh, she said she liked that line. Thanks, Ma.
That was a great one.
Ian Carlson said Felix is a great resource in our community.
Woo!
So Felix,
Salute.
this was unbelievable. I don't know why my mom just said it, but it will come to me one day where I met you and what you all that. So again, Greater Waltham Recovery Solution mission is to raise funds and awareness to help connect people into treatment, access to recovery coaches in the community, extra support like we were talking about for veterans. Felix, if we have struggled with this issue, we're going to be reaching out to you, giving back to the vets, in honor of Mike or whatever, and scholarshiping people into sober living. So, boom.
Woo, boom. And also, I just want to emphasize, we talked a lot about 12 steps tonight, but
Yeah.
Greater Waltham Recovery Solutions, we encourage every pathway to recovery. So if you're struggling, just reach out. We also provide placement into treatment, no matter what insurance, no coverage at all, Mass Health, private insurance. Please reach out to us. We'll get you a bed in a facility. I'll collaborate with Felix if I have to, vice versa. That's how it works. We work together. We do this together. And please do not forget to leave the earth a better place than you found it.
Whoa!
Come on! Love you, brother. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Love and respect, brother.
Awesome. My mom says hi, Mike.
Hi, Mom.